New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliff, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
Hello, welcome to Divine Science Everywhere. We're so glad that you're joining us. I am Reverend Joy Fletcher, and I have the honor of serving as the president of Divine Science Ministers Association, and I'm a member of several New Thought organizations, Divine Science Federation International, INTA, Anton, ANTN, and also I am the founder of joyfulcircle.org.
And hi, I'm Reverend Jeff, and everything that Reverend Joy said applies to me except for the presidency of the Ministers Association and her website. You can find me, though, on Facebook, Giotti-Ministries. On Facebook.com. Yeah, whatever. Giotti, G-I-A-T-I, God is all there is. And whether you find yourself adhering to the Unity tradition or the Science of Mind, spiritual Centers for Spiritual Living tradition, it's all divine science. It's all divine science because it's all God. It's all there is. And that's what we are. And we're happy to let you know that you are as well.
And I'm Durrell Watkins. I am the senior minister of the Sunshine Cathedral in Fort Lauderdale. I'm an auxiliary bishop of the Global Justice Institute. I am the president of the Divine Science Federation and a member of 4 other boards. I am on this show, on this network, 2 others on another network. And so, and I'm publishing a weekly magazine. So I'm working pretty much all the time. I ended a meeting and got online. There was 5 minutes between ending one and getting on this one. That's my life, and I love every minute of it. And if you like our messaging, if you like our discussions, if you like what we're talking about and our subjects, please like it officially. Hit like on your social media platform that you're watching us, and share. Like and share, and help get the message out. We usually begin after we let you know who we are, because that's important. We begin with some centering time of guided reflection and meditation. That's always led by Reverend Joy, who does such a wonderful job of it. So, Reverend Joy, lead us into some joy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is a spiritually powerful time for many ways and in many traditions. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about Lent. Now, it officially began on Wednesday. And according to the foreword of Unity's publication, Keep a True Lent, Lent is actually a church institution, and there's no authority for it in the New Testament. However, the idea of Lent has a sound spiritual basis. Moses, Elijah, and Jesus all observed a 40-day period of prayer and fasting as preparation for spiritual work. The ancient Hebrew writers used numbers to symbolize ideas, and a period of 40 days signified preparation, grounding, strengthening. In other words, a spiritual foundation for the next phase of unfoldment. So traditionally, Lent is a time of giving up something, but metaphysically, Lent is not about deprivation, it's about refinement. It's about consciously choosing what we nourish in our own awareness. So, what if for these 40 days of Lent, we fast from negative words? In New Thought, we understand something profound. Words are a creative activity. And Ernest Holmes reminds us that life reflects to us the content of our thoughts. If thought is creative, then speech, which gives thought direction and momentum, carries tremendous formative power. Our words shape the atmosphere, and our language directs consciousness, and our speech influences action. So, what does it mean to fast from language that feeds discouragement? We can fast from certain words or sentences like, nothing ever changes, this is hopeless, what good does that do? People are terrible, I'm terrible, I can't handle this, and the world is falling apart. Notice how heavy that feels in your body. Well, let's take a breath right now and gently replace those ideas, those suggestions with something like, change is unfolding. I know this, even though I may not see it, but I know that I know. Change, transformation is unfolding with the highest good for all concerned. Or there's deeper good at work. Every person carries a divine potential. Through divine presence, I am always supported. I am always guided. I know what to do. The light shines on my path and shows me the direction I am to go. A new consciousness is emerging right here, right now. Now, these aren't made up words or thoughts. This is not denial. It is the truth. Emmett Fox, a divine science minister, wrote in the Sermon on the Mount, the way to overcome negative situations is to withdraw our attention from them and instead give our attention to God, or omnipresence, which is absolute good. He's suggesting redirection. For where our attention goes, energy flows. To withdraw attention from negativity as a mental habit isn't disengagement from responsibility. Instead, it refuses to energize fear, disappointment, or despair in consciousness. Instead, we focus on the omnipresent good. We have faith. We know deep within us that we live and move and have our being in this omnipresent good. Emma Curtis Hopkins wrote in High Mysticism, "Hold steadfastly to the thought of God as absolute good, and the appearance of evil will vanish into nothingness." Hold steadfastly, not occasionally, steadfastly. Not just when circumstances seem comfortable, not when we seem to have news that's not hopeful, but instead see the truth beyond that and know omnipresent good is the one and only constant. Omnipresent. God is omnipresent, present in every moment, in every place, and in all things. And good is always present. And if good is present, our words can align with it. Consider there is a difference between naming a challenge and feeding it, a difference between accountability and condemnation, a difference between discernment and corrosive speech. Which shall you choose in this potent spiritual period of our lives? We're being called to focus on the good and to know that each and every one of us are held accountable. And we can do this without condemnation of ourselves or for anyone else. So when a negative thought arises, don't be tempted to linger in shame or disappointment. Instead, affirm divine omnipresence. Good shall and does prevail. Affirm the divine omnipresence is present in every moment, in every place, and in all things. This is true, and my words are a reflection of presence. My speech reflects love. My voice is an instrument of peace. So let this period, this Lenten season, be an opportunity to fast from old habitual thoughts and words, and instead feast on the omnipresence of goodness and love and light and peace and harmony and wisdom. This is the truth that each and every one of us know deep within us. We know omnipresence is absolute good. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, Reverend Joy, for that. Before we get to our guest, I want to tell you about a divine scientist, a significant divine scientist in our history, and then we'll take a break and come back to some fascinating conversation. What I want you to know about is Vernon Andrew Shields. Born in 1920, made his transition in 2011. Dr. Vernon Shields spent 31 years as the minister of the First Divine Science Church of Minneapolis. His life was dedicated to teaching principles of spiritual growth and positive living. Through his ministry, Dr. Shields inspired people to embrace their inner power and connect with the divine, leaving a lasting legacy of wisdom and compassion. If you have an old copy of The At-One-ment, the book that has these reflections in lessons at one, you'll see a lot of contributions from Vernon Shields. And if you get DSFI's daily lesson in your email, it's free, you'll often see quotes and reflections by or based on Vernon Andrew Shields. So significant divine scientist with us until 2011, and his work and wisdom with us forever. Now, before we move on to chat with our guests, we have to do a little bit of business by reminding you that this is Divine Science Everywhere on the New Thought Media Network.
Jump up here. 1, 3, jump. I told you I wanted Yes, I love you. Everybody, welcome back to Divine Science Everywhere. Miss Lily needed to make her presence known, and so she has. And so now that you're on camera, can you stay quiet until the guy that was walking up the road comes walking back, and then she's going to bark again. So it is my supreme honor to be the one who introduces our guests every week. And this week we have a fascinating gentleman, Reverend Eamon Duffy. He is the director and minister of the New Thought Men's Community. And the vision of the New Thought Men's Community is building healthy masculinity in the world. And Eamon supports wholeness through heart and soul healing work and through sacred spaces that nurture and bless community. He's been doing this kind of stuff for like 30 years, men's soul work. He has experienced profound transformational healing of his own, and now he shares this wisdom through the New Thought Men's Community. He's led a ton of men's groups, from small groups to major retreats, gatherings, international summits. His book, The Blessing Circle, is about the future of men's work and connection, community, brotherhood, and a powerful belief in the brilliance of ourselves, the future of masculinity, and blessing the world. So welcome, Reverend Eamon Duffy. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on, you all.
Well, absolutely. We would like to begin with my standard question. Basically, is how did you find New Thought in the first place?
Oh my, what an adventure it was to get here. I was raised Catholic, and so after that, I went Hinduism. After I got out of my parents' house, went the opposite direction, and just was really exploring Native American traditions, Sufi traditions, Buddhist traditions, a lot of Eastern philosophy, and eventually wound up in a poetry group that a friend of mine was running, and one of the gals there said, "Oh, your poems are so mystical. I love them." And I'm like, what is mystical? What does that mean? And she proceeded to tell me about Mile High Church. I'm here in Colorado, and I found Mile High Church in my early 20s, and found Men's Work soon thereafter. And it's just been an amazing path and journey of self-discovery, of just awakening to the greater good, the greater possibility, and this amazing, wonderful community. So yeah, it was a joy to find it and feel that, yes, this is home. This is where I want to be. This is where I belong. These positive, optimistic, kind-hearted people, I fit right in. So haven't looked back since. Became a practitioner, was a practitioner for 12 years, and then went through ministerial school. And the last 4 years after graduating, I spent about 5 years doing ministerial school due to my dyslexia and neurodiversity. So it took me a little while, but it was a wonderful experience. And now full-time in the ministry for the last 4 years, and we've been growing and evolving ever since.
Awesome. And we referenced your own personal healing transformation. Is that something you can tell us about?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think if we're talking about my personal journey, is really a core wound for me was around my neurodiversity, my dyslexia. And I think not finding out that I was dyslexic until I was 30 years old. So I had gotten through school already. And it really shaped and impacted, especially my relationship with my mom and with learning in general. And I think the biggest healing is for me, going back to school, choosing to go into the fire of ministry, even knowing that I was dyslexic, and working through that process and ultimately finding the gifts, the talents, my own creativity that I had denied for so long, and realizing that my gifts aren't the standard gifts of memorization and mathematics and things like that. They are in the creative realms and the mystical realms and the spiritual realms. So it was a real awakening process to shift it, as Joy was talking about, shift my thinking, shift that negative thinking of I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, not this, that, and the other thing from that I had taken on going through school, and to really put that to rest. For the most part, it still shows up. It's pretty core, but these days I can love it and bless it and honor it and say yes, and that's okay. Those aren't my gifts. My gift is the creativity part of it. That's one of many, yeah, just really going through that process was the biggest healing that I've ever gone through. And I've gone through a lot of healing in the New Thought tradition for over 35 years now, and so it's been a long, wonderful journey, a lot of healing and healing with religion of my upbringing, and so many beautiful things. But I would say at the core, that was really the big one, to just learn to really to love myself as I am and the gifts and talents that I have to bring to the world.
Awesome. And I have a question that I kind of almost feel like I'm jumping the gun a little bit, because we haven't even gotten into your work with men's healing. So I'm going to ask the question, but I want you to go back to how you got into the men's healing movement, and then work your way toward answering my question. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
That's a weird way to do it, but I don't know of any other way.
That will make it work.
Lately, within the past few years, there's been a real upsurgence in the women's healing movement and talking about the divine feminine. And I've even seen it's become kind of chic in some circles to kind of bash the patriarchy.
Mm.
And yeah, I realize that men have ruled the world for millennia, and in this country, white men, especially Europeans, as well. So I kind of get that, but how can we square a men's healing movement with the women's healing movement so that they're not at odds with one another?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. Thank you. I think it is tricky these days, and I would say it's important to understand, what that patriarchy represents, and it's really certainly white men of power. Now, when we think of that, I think of billionaires, corporations, people who have access to massive amount of money, power, influence. And so it's important to recognize that that is probably 0.001% of especially white men in this country. I'm not saying that some men don't lean into that patriarchal and use and abuse and power over people. But in our movement, we're interested in power with. How do we create power together? How do we uplift, and how do we see that divinity within each and every one of us? And I think that's for us, especially in this philosophy, to really be able to see that wholeness, recognize that oneness and that wholeness within all of us. And I think the divisions, without going too much into that, the political realm, but the divisions are to separate. This is an age-old tradition, right? To separate by race, to separate by gender, to separate by, social status, to divide people because they're less powerful that way. And I think it won't be until we all do come together and go, you know what? How can this world really work for all of us, not just a few powerful people? And I think the current day situation is exactly what we're looking at, is a power over situation, an abuse of power. We're seeing the most toxic, most horrible bullying type of negative masculinity and patriarchy and the archetype of the masculine from the past. And so my view is that we're moving into this new understanding of what masculinity looks like, which is healthy masculinity. It's generative, it's loving, it's kind. It can be strong, but strong with instead of strong against. Mm-hmm. So there's just so much, I think that this transformation, and that we as men, as the evolution spirals upwards, which it does, and there is resistance. The old ways are in their death rattle. They're going away, and at that end point, the old school wants to hold on to that and keep it as long as possible, because it benefits them. But I think as we evolve, and we're seeing this even in younger generations, just there is a whole different masculinity that's showing up, that's kind and generous, that's a stay-at-home dad, a loving presence, doesn't need to be a breadwinner, but can be that too, that we're really looking at a holistic experience of masculinity. And so now I'm going to jump back, and the history for me of that starts really with my upbringing. I had a very dominant mom. She was a very strong mom, which I'm grateful for in many ways, and 3 sisters. And my dad was very much a soft and gentle guy. He was a worker. He owned his own business and worked very, very hard at that, and spent a lot of time there. So he wasn't present as much and wasn't present as much emotionally. So what I found as I, became my own man in the world is, who am I as a man? Asking myself this question, who am I as a man? And I sought out this, people, guys who were interested in these questions, and serendipitously and blessedly found a mentor who supported me in really realizing that I can be a gentle, kind, empathetic man in the world, because that's really what I was. I was not really the typical macho dude growing up, more tender and sensitive, and to love myself for that and accept that. And so we started a and that lasted quite a few years. And at the same time, just going to different events, men's retreats, and stuff like that, really outside of the New Thought experience. So it was more the mythopoetic tradition of Robert Bly and a lot of that back in the day. Working with archetypes, doing the inner healing work that we're really here to do. Working the shadow, those parts of ourselves that we don't really like, we don't want to engage, we don't want to acknowledge, so we push them down. As we as men, for the most part, have been taught to push those emotions down, don't express them. So from a very young age, I think we're taught that. And so in men's work, it's really seeking, or at least in the New Thought men's work that we're doing, it's really seeking the whole man, really seeking the full expression of who we are. Why would we only bring part of ourselves to our life? Why would we buy into these stereotypes of men are stoic and intellectual and do physical things? And we can do all those things, but we can also be tender and sensitive and kind and genuine and soulful and spiritual, typically more female traits. So I think the more, as you were talking about, the more women move into their wholeness, the more men are encouraged to move into their wholeness as well. That we as individuals are really, and it is this spiritual path that calls us this. It's not the old school religion where this is the male role, this is the female role. That we see kind of playing out a lot. But I am a whole human being. Let me express my wholeness. And as much as we can, to really live that fullness, to live the full life of the divine, to live our full expression of these unique and diverse and interesting expressions of this creative life force that is the cosmos. And we're on the cutting edge of that as these human beings. We're on the conscious cutting edge of that, to be able to experience and express in these conscious ways, to choose over our animal instincts, over this reptilian brain back here, to move into the prefrontal cortex or the pineal gland, into that inspiration. And so that's really what we seek in the New Thought men's community. And that's just been my training. That's been for many, many years going through men's work and being a part of men's circles. I was in a men's group for over 25 years with a bunch of amazing guys. And it just taught me to be my authentic self because it was safe. And so I allowed myself to really be there, be present, share my sensitivity, share my vulnerability. And also recognize that those are beautiful pieces. When men get into their emotions, is such a beautiful thing. When men have a breakdown or breakthrough, it's such an incredible and beautiful thing. And I love getting to be at least even a small part of that. And because that's what we're here for. We're here to let go and lay down those old things, those old beliefs of who I have to be, to be able to embrace the fullness of who we truly are. So I think that's where we're headed. That's the evolution. That's the spiral upwards, the spiral dynamics of it all. And we're in the throes of that right now. And we can see it with everything that's going on politically and socially. To really understand and see and have that deeper realization, that deeper promise of America, of freedom, of equality for everyone, to come to fruition in a very real sense, and that there aren't people who are above that law. We're all beholden to the same laws, and we're all beholden to the same promises and the same equalities, the same votes, the same, right to financial success and joy and fulfillment, and to love who we want to love, and to be the unique and amazing people that we are. And the world needs unique and amazing people that we are. It needs our gifts. It needs our talent. It needs our genius and brilliance to really show up and be present, because we do have some pretty major things going on that need solutions, need real world solutions, as well as soul solutions. I think the one thing that we've been focused on so much technologically is this advancement, and how are we technologically advancing, but how are we soulfully advancing as a planet? It's almost like we're stuck and we're trying to move forward. And I love the New Thought movement, because I do feel it's on the cutting edge of that spiral upwards, that forward movement of taking personal responsibility for our soulful path, for the path of our heart and our soul, to be able to step into this future, to not say, oh, Jesus took care of all the sins, so I can go out and sin. It's okay. I can pollute. I can do, I can do whatever I want, abuse people, or hoard money, or, all of these things that, bring out the worst in us. But we need all the things that are going to bring out the best in us right now, for humanity to truly not only survive, but really thrive and offer future generations an even greater possibility than we've had in our lifetime.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope I caught all of it.
You did great.
Very well. Very well. Thank you. You mentioned that men are often taught to stifle or push down their emotions and things. And I, as a woman, have felt that kind of message too, that women are often labeled as too emotional or hysterical and things like that. So how wonderful that we're working toward collaboration and accepting and encouraging one another and the way we express, and not make it bad, but rather it's a good thing. As we grow together and evolve spiritually together, we're here together for a purpose, to support one another, to grow and evolve, and to shine the light toward each other, and be a mirror and encouragement. So thank you. What you shared is lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Joy, emotion is one of the ways in which we step into that intuition, into that deeper knowing. And so it's imperative for all of us to do that. It's imperative for all of us to know, one, what emotions are happening. And I think as young boys, we're taught to push it down, grow up, men don't cry, all of the stereotypical things. And so we've been practiced at pushing that down. And now is really the time to say, when I see the younger generations doing this a lot more, having access to their emotional body a lot more, which is wonderful. Back in my day, it was like, you had to know a guy before you went up and hugged him, even in some, men's work situations. But nowadays it's just like, hey man, I'll give you a hug. And it's almost second nature to younger men. For the most part, obviously we're talking stereotypes, so not everybody, but what I see and what I experience is so beautiful, because it's almost ridiculous, right? On some level, to say men don't feel. We all feel. We're all in these bodies that have feeling, sensory experiences. So, to shame women in the past for paying attention to that, for actually calling it out, for expressing it, I think was a way of suppression on some level, a way of making less than. And we don't need to do that. It isn't. And frankly, all of us are emotional. Guys have just gotten better, maybe, or most men have gotten better at just pushing it down and not sharing their emotions, but they're still there. Come on. We're all feeling in these feeling experiences. So yeah, thank you, Joy. I absolutely agree. I think embracing the wholeness is really where we're all headed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My question, I may have two, but for sure I have one, may complexify the discussion a little bit. But so far, we have been speaking of gender in binary terms. And not everyone fits in an either-or category. And I'm not even talking about people who live their lives as trans people or people who were born intersex. I'm not even talking about those right now. But there's a lot of non-binary or genderqueer or questioning all up and down the scale too. And when people wonder about that, because usually any problem they have with it is from religion, which is strange because religion is very non-binary. I mean, with the shamans, and I often call drag performers the shamans of the queer community. But there are in scripture, Elohim is one of the names for God, which is Elohim basically means gods, and it includes male gods and female gods, and the pronoun is they. Eve is actually born from Adam's body, which means that she has an XY chromosome pair. It's a myth, but if it were real, that would mean she would be intersex. Same with Jesus. In the birth narrative myth of Jesus, doesn't have a human father, which means this is a man, looks like a man walking around with a double X chromosome pairing, and so on. The book of Job says that God's womb is what produces the ice storms in the world, which is a strange connection, but there you have it, and so on. So there's, even in our scriptures, this evidence of some people are neither or maybe both of a thing. And so, like, I know I wouldn't go to a women's group because I would feel like I was invading, but I also wouldn't be 100% comfortable in a men's group. So for male presenting people who don't identify exclusively, what do you do with people like me?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing this, Durrell. It's a great question, and I think even though we are putting it into pretty male, female, black and white terms, it is really about breaking down those gender stereotypes. Like, men are this way, women are this way, and it's really about just almost getting to the core of it. Like for me, when I was coming up in men's work, we used a lot of the archetypes, Jungian archetypes, the king, the warrior, the lover, and the magician. And a lot of gay men just do not relate to that because it's part of a patriarchal system that had oppressed them and still does. And so what I've done is gone to more of a new thought philosophy of vision and creativity and action and synergy. And while they still kind of have a similar resonance or representation of that, it's a little different because they aren't so gender associated. And I think our society has gender associated. I think definitely Christianity of my upbringing has gender associated, like men are this way, women are this way, especially, with my parents who were older when they got together. So they were like, 50s, 30s, 40s, 50s, kind of, growing up in those eras where it was very much those stereotypes, and they were reinforced and all of that stuff. But once we realize and we do that deeper healing work, it's about accessing, action. It's about accessing greater knowledge. It's about accessing creativity. It's not about accessing your masculine side or your feminine side, although some people may go through that to find it. But it's really all non-binary on some level. We've just ascribed these certain associations with them. And so in that sense, I'm grateful to the non-binary community. I'm grateful to the LGBTQ community, because they have really broken those stereotypes down to the core, so that it's more accessible for all of us. And it doesn't put it in terms of this or that. And while I would say to you personally, like, I hope you would feel comfortable coming and checking it out at some point, at your, if that feels right to you. But I think it's more about being able to tell your story, being able to show up authentically as who you are, and be loved and be accepted and be celebrated, even though it's under this kind of guise of this is a group of men or this is a group of women. It's really, I think, honestly, men's work and women's work that I've seen anyhow, or the people that I know that do that. It is really about getting in touch with that authenticity. It's about getting in touch with the core of who you are and your story, your wounding, your shadow, the things that you want to be healed within, and getting in touch with your superpowers and your greatness and your beauty and your brilliance, and learning to love and accept fully exactly who you are. And so, nearly half of the men that are involved in the New Thought men's community are gay or bisexual. I'm grateful to see that men, one, we create a safe container for everybody to show up. And if a trans man showed up, I don't know that we have, but we might have. So hopefully, that is a comfort level that people can step into. Yeah. And also, I recognize there is, to some degree, this group of people that identify as non-binary that is not going to jive with what we're doing. And you know what? On some level, that's okay. And the
they'd be welcome to try, right? They'd be welcome to try. Yeah. They'd be welcome to try, though, yeah.
Absolutely. Check it out. If you want to, and there's some healing to be done, like with your masculine side, and that's, where you want to do it, or your feminine side, that's where you want to do it, beautiful. And the LGBTQIA plus community really has a lot of support and a lot of encouragement with stuff like that. And I hope that, we're all human beings, right? And so if somebody showed up and wanted to do the healing work, I'm like, yeah, awesome. Let's do it. Great. Because that's what we're really all about, right? It's really about working on the inner things that we project outward onto the world, so that we can work them internally, do that healing work, so that we can show up as that clear channel of source, of divinity, of the creativity of life itself, to be the amazing and unique individuals that we all are. We're all different. There's not one of us that's alike from the history of time. So we all have this unique, I really don't understand why we would need to try and monocrop everybody. Like, all people are like this, all men are like this, we're wildflowers, on a mountain here in Colorado. It's like they're all different. Even the same kind of flower has a different, height, or it has a different color, a different shade, it has different leaves, all of these things that make us unique. And when we look out into the cosmos, it's all different. There is nothing monocrop. There's nothing that's perfectly the same.
Well, so, I do have, I said I might have two questions. I needed to hear your answer to the first one before I knew if there was a second. And so now I feel comfortable with the second question. You mentioned at the beginning, basically what Howard Gardner calls multiple intelligences, that you had some negative self-feeling because you weren't as good at this or that, but you were very good at these other things. And Howard Gardner shows us that, yeah, some people have like technological intelligence, and some people have like language, literary intelligence, and some people have spatial intelligence, and some people have musical intelligence. Do you think that one's understanding or healing of whatever their gender trauma is, that could be an intelligence, that you're actually learning what another gift is, that learning who you are and how to celebrate that is another intelligence?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. I think anytime we do the genuine healing work, especially when it rubs up against our core woundings, our core issues, that's where we go, okay, that is mine to give. Now that I get it, now that I've done the healing work, that is mine to bring to the world in some way. That's why I love advocating for, neurodiverse people. And I talk about it a lot. I talked about it when I went through ministerial school. I even created a whole packet and a presentation for neurodivergent students. And we did a presentation at one of our retreats, and it was incredible. Come to find out, 1 in 5 people is neurodiverse. So when we're learning to be ministers, or when we're teaching anyone anything, we have to be aware of that there are people who have different learning abilities. And I think it's a beautiful thing to find out where. That's why shadow work is so beautiful. It finds where that wound is. It finds the things that really shut us down, that caused us pain, to bring them into that light, to bring them into that greater understanding for healing, so that we can go, oh yeah, that was it. I thought for a long time my wounding was from my mom, and it was just really my mom's reaction and the way she tried to help me with my dyslexia. And of course we didn't know, because it was so slight that they didn't catch it. And so I was 30 years old and I found out, oh, I'm dyslexic. Oh, okay. I had to go back through all of the disagreements, all of the challenges, all the ways my mom wanted me to learn, because of course it was her learning style. And that's what she wanted to give, because that's what she thought I needed. But it wasn't the wounding with my mom. It was the wounding because of, I have a differently wired brain. And it created so many challenges in relationship with learning, with teachers, with my mom, who was a teacher. So she really wanted her kids to succeed in that. So, it was such a beautiful thing to find the gifts of creativity, the gift of, and don't get me wrong, it's not like, hey, I don't know what's going on. I ran my own business for over 30 years and successfully. And I have done things, that you would say, someone who's dyslexic, like I use tape measure every day. That's numbers. But I don't do my own books. I love CPAs. I bless them. I'm so grateful that there are people who are good at numbers out there. So I hope I'm answering the question in the sense of, I think our wounding, our challenges, the place in which we struggle has the greatest potential for our gifts to give to ourselves and to the world.
Wow.
Wonderful.
You've been awesome.
You may have, this has been powerful. You may have a final comment, or the others may have a final question, but all of that's going to have to wait until I remind you that this is Divine Science Everywhere on the New Thought Media Network.
Welcome back. This hour flew by. Thank you so much for being with us today. Would you like to share about your Monday show?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lots of things. So you can find us at newthought.community. And we do 4 annual events. So we do a men's gathering that's coming up May 2nd. It's online. We have a New Thought Men's Summit that's happening September 20th through the 30th. We have over 30 amazing speakers every year. This is our 3rd year doing it. So we're so excited about that. And we have a men's leadership conference October 24th. And then I also do a Renew Year event just after the new year to get us kicked off in a good way. So those are kind of the main 4 things. Then we also have a men's group on Sunday night, every Sunday, and a men's group on Monday night, alternative Monday nights. And I'm just starting a men's group with the ANTN group that I'm super excited, the fourth Monday of every month. So a lot of opportunities to just check in, to find out what it's all about. We create a very sacred and safe space. It's just really a joy to do this work. It's clearly my passion, my joy, and the thing that has done so much good for me is the New Thought philosophy and men's work. And I'm just so grateful for that. But what we do in the summit is we record podcasts for the year, which is wonderful. And so every other Monday, I think right now we're doing, we roll out a new podcast. And so that's super fun on New Thought Media Network or on our YouTube page, which you can find at our website, New Thought Men's Community. And then let's see here. Yeah, I think, Jeff, I remember you emailed me the first year we did the summit. You're like, hey, how come they're all CSL ministers?
I'm glad you remembered.
And no, yeah, of course. And it's because that was the tradition that I came up through understanding the New Thought tradition. And last year we had a lot more diversity, ANTN, we had UFBL ministers, and I actually sent an invitation out to you, Jeff, and to you, Durrell, too. And it was just an email. I didn't really follow up on it, and I should have. But
I was thinking this whole time, is that email? I wonder if it came from him.
It was. Yeah. And so we're actually signing speakers up now. We finally have an amazing process, and our video guy who is just incredible. But we're in the process of signing people up. So I'd love to invite you guys to be a part of that this year. And what we do is we record a 20-minute video. We record a meditation and then a treatment or blessing at the end. And then we record an hour-long podcast as well. And the 20-minute sharing then goes on our membership site. And what our membership site is designed for, it's for individuals who don't have a center and want to be a part of a men's group and show up and have access to all these amazing videos. We have over 50 sharings and over 50 podcasts at this point. You can find the podcasts on YouTube, but the sharings are really designed so that we can create a plug-and-play men's group for every New Thought center in our movement. And we know that a lot of the bigger centers like Mile High Church and Seaside and a lot of other centers, Michael Beckwith's church, they have the funds, the access, and the support to create great men's groups. But in these smaller communities, they don't have all those resources. So we took it upon ourselves to provide these resources from all these amazing speakers in New Thought, that guys can get together. They can listen to a meditation, do a little check-in, listen to the talk and discuss it, and then have a closing treatment or blessing at the end. So it's a kind of a plug and play men's group, and we offer those to New Thought communities. if they want to start a men's group or if they want help continuing their men's group. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we're going to have to scoot now. And thank you very, very much for a delightful time.
It's flown by. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. And so do join us again, and please like and share this. And we are Divine Science Everywhere on New Thought Media Network. See you next time.
Oh, yeah.